Hi and welcome to Sunday the 15th of November, aka the start of the Gilmore Girls Readathon. This is a week-long readathon that runs until the 21st of November, I think. And I've been very excited about this readathon. I've been looking forward to it for the entire month. For this readathon there are a bunch of prompts you can fulfill, or you can read books according to a bingo board. I have picked out 3 books that I want to read this week. Here they are. I haven't fully decided on what I'm going to start with yet, but I think it's going to be The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, and then I'm going to read Fables, which is a graphic novel, alongside it. And then later in the week I'll be starting The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Van. As for this vlog, I'm going to vlog for the entire week, and I don't think I have anything special planned. I am going to fulfill the prompt that is bake a fall treat and watch your favorite Gilmore Girls episode. I'm not sure yet which episode that is, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. It's now about 11:15, I think. I had a slow morning because I didn't get to sleep in yesterday, so I really wanted to do that today. And now I'm going to sit on the sofa with my cup of tea. I'm not drinking coffee, which would be very Gilmore Girls, but I don't like coffee, so I'm not going to start doing that now. And I'm going to read The Scorpio Races, which will be fulfilling the prompt. Now I have to think. A book set in a small town and a book set during fall or winter. This is a fantasy novel about a deadly competition racing savage water horses that takes place each year, and that's basically all I know about it, so I'll catch up with you later and tell you more about it as I've read some of it. It's now about 2 hours later, and I just wanted to give you a quick update on the Scorpio Races now that I know a little bit more about it. I'm still in my pajamas because it is Sunday, but this morning I read 60 pages of the Scorpio Races, and I'm already hooked and intrigued, as is often the case when I read a Maggie Stiefvater novel. So this book centers around the Scorpio Races, which is a competition in which people race water horses, and these water horses are deadly and dangerous and very savage. They look mostly like normal horses, but they smell very differently, and they are very violent, and they will eat you if you're not careful. The book is set on the island of Thisbe, which is an island with a population of about 4,000 people, and I am counting that towards the prompt of read a book that's set in a small town, even though it might not totally fit, but it does feel like a small community, like Stars Hollow in Gilmore Girls. But every October, halfway through October, something like that, these water horses, which live in the sea, start coming ashore, and at that moment the beach becomes a very dangerous place to be. But people also want to catch these water horses, because that means that the next year they will be able to race in the Scorpio Races using these horses. And this book is told through a dual perspective narrative. We have 2 main characters. We have Sean and Puck, and we learn in the prologue that Sean has lost his father to one of the water horses during the Scorpio Races, and he is very good with the horses. Everyone who has anything to do with the Scorpio Races knows that he is able to tame them and to race them, and that's basically his world. And then there is Puck, who lives with her 2 brothers because their parents have died, also due to something with the water horses, but not during the Scorpio Races. And she decides that she will participate in the Scorpio Races because she wants to save her brothers and for them to have enough money, because they are orphans and it's very hard for them to get by. And that's basically all I know so far. I love Maggie Stiefvater's writing. I already knew that, and it's very nice to sink into that again, and I hope I'll be able to read a good chunk of this today. For those of you who might have watched some of my other vlogs, which always feature my guinea pigs, you might realize that this guinea pig hasn't featured before, and that one of my other guinea pigs is no longer here. And this little girl is Lily. She has been living with us since the start of October now, and that's because the other guinea pig, Arthur, passed away in June, I think. Yes, at the end of June. He got very sick very quickly, and we had to let him go because he was just too weak and in too much pain. So that was very difficult and very sad. And then Ziggy here was alone for a little while, but now these 2 are together and they're like 2 peas in a pod, and they love each other, and it's wonderful. Anyway, just wanted to explain that while they are buttering about. now Monday, which means the work week has started. I didn't have to start until 10:30 today, which is nice because that always means that I can just ease into the new week instead of having to start bright and early. And it also meant that I could read some more of the Scorpio races this morning. I'm 204 pages into the book and I'm really liking it. I'm also getting more of a feel for the characters. I really like Puck. I like how she's angry and bitter. That doesn't make her sound very good. She realized herself that sometimes she can be a bit too quick to snap and to anger, and I'm really liking that. And I also like Sean, although he is very broody, but I like how he loves the horses more than he loves people, because I think a lot of us can relate to loving animals more than people sometimes. I have to work until 4 this afternoon, and it's now exactly 1 o'clock, so just a couple more hours of work to go. I'm also thinking of starting Fables today though, so maybe I'll read that after work instead of the Scorpio races. Anyway, that's just a quick catch up. I'll be going back to work now and listen to some music probably, and then I'll read some more this afternoon. So today is a bit of a weird day. It's Tuesday and normally I would work until 12 p.m. and then have the afternoon off, but this morning I called in sick from work. To work? I don't know. Anyway, it's just, I've been having a tough time these past few weeks because 2020 has been a bitch for all of us globally, but I've had some additional things in my personal life as well for the entire year, but these past few weeks especially have been tough. And I've just been dealing with these migraine type headaches for the past few days, and I just woke up this morning and I thought I can't do it today. So yeah, I'm taking today off to just rest, and I think I'm going to be reading a lot. I'm reading the Scorpio races still. I'm about halfway through, and I have therapy this afternoon, so that will be good. And I debated whether or not I should talk about this in the vlog or whether I should just pretend that it's any normal day, because that's more cheerful. But I figured it would be better to just be open, because I always appreciate it if people are open in their videos about the things they struggle with, and there's no need or pressure to have to do that, but I always think it's nice to break through a bit of a stigma around mental health and struggles in general. So that's what I'm trying to do today. I hope the rest of this vlog is going to be a bit more upbeat, but today I'm just going to sit underneath my blanket in this exact spot on the sofa, drink my tea. I have a tension tamer tea, which includes all kinds of weird herbs, including catnip. I had no idea people could eat or drink catnip, but it's in there, so I guess it's alright. And I'm going to read my books, maybe watch some comfort shows, maybe watch some Gilmore Girls, and maybe do some Sims later on today. Don't really have anything else to tell you besides that. Just take this as a reminder to take good care of yourself and to know your boundaries. I completely forgot about it, to my utter shame. It's this guy's birthday today. Ziggy has been with us for 2 years now, exactly to the day. And we don't know his exact birthday, but we do know he was about to when we got him. So we stick to the 17th of November as his birthday. So that means he's now 4 years old. Also, I just got home from therapy and I have decided to call in sick for the rest of the week because my therapist asked me, "What do you need?" And I immediately said rest. I've been needing rest for the past few months now actually, and I think if I don't take it now, it's only going to go downhill from here. So yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about that for the rest of the week, I hope. Just wanted to tell you what's going on. So it's 12:30 on Wednesday and I'm already feeling quite a lot better than I did yesterday. I'm still tired, but I'm already feeling a little more rested and at least a bit more at peace than I did yesterday. The weather is also really nice, as you can see behind me, although the sun is now just going behind a cloud, I think. So I might go out for a walk a little later after lunch to just get some fresh air and be outside for a bit. But I have just reached the 400-page mark of the Scorpio races, so I figured I'd check in for a second. I'm now about 80 pages from the end, so I think I'll be able to do that this afternoon. And I'm still really enjoying this. It's clear that this was written before the Raven Boys, because I do think that there's a clear upward curve noticeable when it comes to Maggie Stiefvater's writing. This is very good in terms of writing, but it's not as good as the Raven Boys or the Raven Cycle, I think. The start of this book was quite slow, and I noticed that in a lot of people's reviews on Goodreads as well, that they felt this was hard to get into, that the pacing felt a little bit off, at least at the start. I don't really feel that way as well. I noticed it was slow, but I often like a bit of a slow book as long as it keeps me interested, and I'm interested in this world, in Thisbe, in Puck and Sean, and I just get more and more interested as the book goes on. I love learning more about these water horses, these savage horses. They really are quite savage. There was quite a scary scene that was very well done that I very much enjoyed, but that was kind of creepy horror, not really horror, thriller type-ish. Maggie Stiefvater always just comes up with the most amazing things. I think it's always in the details. There's so many little details pertaining to these water horses and how to handle them and the magic that surrounds them. I also like the setting of this book on this island that's very small and people know each other, but it's not cozy at all. It's not like Stars Hollow, let's put it that way. It's a bit more hostile, both the island itself and the people towards each other, I think. But that's very interesting to read about. So yeah, still reading that. I'm also still reading Fables. I don't think I've ever seen anyone on BookTube talk about this series, and I'm not sure why, because it's really good and I think a lot of people would really enjoy it. It's about these fairy tale characters, but they have been outcast or exiled from their home world, and they have now been living in the real world for centuries. Their home base is in New York. The only thing we know so far about why these characters had to leave their home world is that there is the adversary, who is a big dark force that has cast them out, basically. The stories are just really good. There have been separate stories. Okay, that's the doorbell. Okay, so that was someone delivering a package, and it's an advent calendar of all kinds of teas. 24 moments of tea, it says. But I did not order this. I think maybe my boyfriend did, and it's a surprise, but he's not at home and I am, so I opened the package because my name was on it as well. I'm really excited about this. I drink a lot of tea, as you may know if you've been watching my vlogs for a while, and this looks really cool, and I really like the idea of getting to try a new tea every day. Also, it smells really good. I think this comes from my boyfriend. I will ask him when he gets home, but this is fun. It's a nice surprise and I'm excited about this. But I was still talking about Fables. As I was trying to say, the other two volumes in this series so far both had their own story with the underlying bigger storylines of the adversary and things like that. This one so far has had two separate stories, but I think now on page 75 the main story of this volume will start, Storybook Love. I don't think I've told you for which prompts I'm reading this one, and now I have to think really hard for a moment. I'm reading this for a book featuring a complicated love interest or complex love interest, something like that. And the other one is read the next book in a series you haven't finished that, and that obviously fits as well. Anyway, I have ordered some lunch. I don't usually do that, but I'm in the treat yourself kind of mood. So I've ordered a nice sandwich and I'm going to eat that when it arrives and watch some more Parenthood. I've been watching a lot of Parenthood lately. Maybe I should watch some Gilmore Girls as well, but I think I'll do that later on this week. Plus Lauren Graham, aka Lorelai, also features in Parenthood, so I think it sort of fits. And I also think that ordering in definitely fits with the Gilmore Girls theme, since Lorelai and Rory don't do anything but ordering food, it seems. So yeah, I'm excited about that sandwich. I'm excited about this afternoon, just getting to read and play some Sims later on. I'm really glad I took the decision to take some time off to call in sick, because I already feel like I can breathe a bit more again, which is good. So again, take good care of yourself. I'll see you later. As you just saw, I just went for a quick walk in the sunshine. Before I went outside though, I finished The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, so I finished the first book for the Gilmore Girls Readathon. I think I'm going to give this 4 stars. I love the characters, I love the writing, as always. I love Maggie Stiefvater's writing. I love the story, I love the setting, the ocean features a lot in this, and I love the ocean, so I love reading about the ocean as well. I just loved reading this, and I'm glad I've now finally read it. So that's that. Right now, as you can see behind me, I'm going to play The Sims 2, because I love playing The Sims 2, still do. I've been playing it ever since it came out in 2004, which is 16 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But I'm going to be playing that, and then tonight I'm going to start The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan, I think. Or I'll be reading some more of Fables, or both. So we'll see. It's now Thursday afternoon. I think it's about 1:30 or maybe around 2, I'm not sure. This morning I went into town to buy some stuff. It's one of those trips that I really had to do because I needed some things, but I really wasn't looking forward to it. I definitely dread going into town these days because I just get so stressed and tense whenever I'm around a lot of other people. And even though we're advised to stay home, it's not mandatory. Hence why I'm able to go to the stores. And so there's still a lot of people out and about usually. Luckily today it was alright. I only went to one store that had a lot of the things I needed. And after I came home I had lunch, and then I finished reading Fable's Storybook Love. So that's 2 books down, 1 to go. I ended up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I did the second volume. But I think the first volume is still my favorite. But I really liked getting to know the characters a bit more in this one. The main characters are Bigby Wolf and Snow White. And I like how this world gets more and more depth to it as you progress into the series, because it has great potential for all kinds of fun stories. The scope can be very big, so I'm excited to see what else they can do with this. The art style is not my favorite. It's a bit, I guess you could say, old-fashioned maybe, but a lot of the pages are very creatively done. This one is just boxes next to each other, but let's see if I can find a different one. Oftentimes the pages are very creatively done with different types of panels and them flowing over into each other, and the pages and the panel really fit the vibe of the story it's telling at that moment. So I really enjoyed that. I think that's a great way to utilize the graphic novel format. It really added a little more depth to the story for me. So that's that. Like I said, 2 books down. Now I'm going to move on to The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. I'm going to start it in a few minutes after I finish filming this clip. I did wonder, why on earth did I choose 2 full-length novels that are over 450 pages, both of them, for a week-long readathon? I'm going to try my best to finish this, but I'm not going to push it. If I'm not able to do it, I'm just not going to do it, because this week is about taking it easy and resting. But I do wonder if I did really think this through when I picked out my TBR. But anyway, I'm looking forward to reading this. It's been on my TBR for quite a while. And this is about a girl whose mother has committed suicide, and she has to come to terms with that. And she goes to visit her grandparents in Taiwan, I think it is, for the very first time. I think it might have a little bit of a magical realism hint to it, because Lee, the main character, thinks her mother has become a bird after she has passed away. So I'm not sure if that's really an aspect of the story, but I'm going to find out. And I'm reading this one for 2 prompts as well. I'm reading this for a book featuring a mother-daughter relationship, and a book featuring Asian representation or written by an Asian author. So yeah, excited to read this, and I'm going to start now. Welcome to Friday. It's now 12:30 and I spent this morning watching 2 episodes of Parenthood and then I went to do some groceries. My boyfriend usually does the groceries, but I went for a quick run this morning because I want to bake some turnovers, some apple turnovers this afternoon. Actually, I'm going to start that in a couple of minutes for the Bake a Fall treat prompt for the readathon. And I also remembered why my boyfriend usually does the groceries, or at least why it's a good idea that he usually does the groceries, and that's that I always come home with stuff like this. I've been eating a lot of Starbucks right now because it's delicious and I like it, but it's definitely going to make me nauseous in a bit. Anyway, I just read a little bit of The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X. Harpan. I'm now on page 110. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish this in time before the end of the readathon, even though I'm not entirely sure if the readathon ends on Saturday or on Sunday. So maybe I have 2 days left or 1.5, and maybe I have 2.5 days left. Who knows? I'm going to find out later, I hope. But I still have over 300 pages to go, and I'm not loving it so far. I think my problem with this is mostly that it's all a bit too on the nose for me. There's not much ambiguity. It's all a little too straightforward, a little more straightforward than I'd liked. I figured that the idea of this red bird that Lee is seeing after her mother's death, that this would be more symbolic or more ambiguous in terms of, is this really her mother, or is this something she is seeing, maybe hallucinating, maybe dreaming, something like that, or something a little bit more magical, but at least it's not clear what it is. But actually from very early on, well, it's not certain that it's her mother, but the bird actually delivers a package without any postage to Lee, a package that was supposed to be in Taiwan, but it gets delivered without postage in America, and there's stuff in it that should not be able to be in there. So then Lee goes on this search for the bird when she's in Taiwan and she sees the bird again. And it's all about this search for the bird now, because she thinks, I have to find my mother, she has to explain things to me. I think the bird can talk, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure the bird has been talking to her. I'm also not a big fan of how the chapters are structured yet. It's very clear this chapter is a flashback, this chapter is a memory from her mother, somehow. And then this chapter is the present. And I would have liked those things to be interwoven a bit more. Something else that's actually maybe bothering me even more than the lack of ambiguity is the writing style. It's a bit too lyrical for me. And it's not like I don't enjoy lyrical or descriptive writing styles. I do, but it does have to be done right. And what I don't like about this novel, and I think that's a personal thing, is that Lee describes everything in terms of colors. Every emotion is a color, everything she sees, experiences is a color, everything she sees someone else experiencing is a color, and it's just getting on my nerves a bit. If it's done right, I can enjoy things like that, but in here it just feels a bit too over the top. So that's a lot of complaining about this book, but it's not all bad. I am enjoying this. I think right now this is at a 3-star level for me. I like how she's now in Taiwan and that she's getting to know her grandparents. I like her grandmother especially. I hope there's a bit more to that relationship, but I think there will be. And even though I don't like how the flashbacks are structured, I do enjoy getting to know more about Lee's mother, and I like the culture, the Taiwanese and Chinese culture that's in here. I like learning more about that. I'm going to be reading some more of this today, but first I'm going to bake my apple turnovers. I think my puff pastry will have defrosted by now, so it's time for an autumnal bake with lots of cinnamon and lots of apple and lots of sugar. now 6 p.m. and this lighting is making me look pretty awful, but that's alright. I have finally figured out which Gilmore Girls episode I am going to watch, and it is season 3, episode 7, I want to say. I think it's 7. And the title is They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They? Yes, They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They? And that's the episode with the Stars Hollow Dance Marathon, I think it's called. And it's the episode where stuff goes down between Dean and Rory and Jess. That season is probably my favorite because Jess is my favorite. And so I'm going to watch that one. And I think I'm going to watch episode 8 right after that. So I'm going to make it a double feature because that one features one of my favorite moments of the show. I don't want to say which one because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. And while I'm watching that, I'm going to be eating some pizza, American style pizza. I thought it fit Gilmore Girls pretty well, and also I eat pizza most Fridays. I'm going to put this pizza in the oven, do a little reading while I wait for it to be done, and then I'm going to watch Gilmore Girls. It's Sunday again. I am once again wearing my blue bathrobe, and I think I'm standing pretty much in the same spot as I was during the first clip of this vlog. So we've come full circle, it seems. I didn't film anything yesterday, but what I did do yesterday is I had tea with some friends, which was very nice. We kept our distance, but we had a really nice catch up. And other than that, I spent my time reading The Astonishing Color of After. And just this morning I finished it. I read the last 90 pages after breakfast. And I'm giving this 3 stars because all the things I talked about earlier that I didn't really like still stand. And on top of that, I also think that the romantic subplot in this, which takes up quite a lot of time, really wasn't necessary. I would have enjoyed it more if this had been just about Lee and her grieving process and her getting to know her family. I didn't need the romance thing thrown in. The plot was a bit messy. The idea was great, but I think it could have been executed a little bit better, a little bit more cohesive. I enjoyed the idea of the bird and some of the other more magical realism type things that happened in this, but they were a bit too messy to really make me believe and really make me invested. Because overall, my main problem with this book is probably that I just wasn't that invested. That became a little bit better as the book progressed, as the story progressed, but the characters were kind of flat. They just weren't well rounded at all. Our main character Lee, who I didn't really like, only had a few characteristics, mostly that she loved art and that she loved her mother. But other than that, she didn't have any real personality traits, I think. What I really appreciated about this book is that it was about depression, and it really showed how awful and how black and dark depression can be. I think that's important, and I think that was quite well done, but also still it could have been better, and I think that's my main thing with this book. There were lots of things I appreciated about it and a lot of aspects that I usually would really like in a story, but all of them just lacked some depth for me and felt like it could have been done better. And that means that we've now reached the end of this vlog. The Gilmore Girls Readathon really kept me going this week and I had so much fun. I'm glad I read these books. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you've made it all the way to the end, because I think this is going to be quite a long one, thank you. Please like this video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of me, and have a wonderful day. Bye!